guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I thought I would talk to you guys and show some non-fiction books that I own. This is actually all of them, I believe. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I just haven't. But here are all the non-fiction books that I own. The first book I want to show you is Heal Your Mind by Dr. Mona Lisa Schulz and Louisa Hay. So I believe I've read parts of this, but I haven't finished it, and it's been ages ago since I've read parts of it. But I know it says here that Dr. Mona Lisa Schulz has an MD, a board certification in psychiatry, and a PhD in brain science. So I feel like you have a trustworthy source. And in here you basically get to learn a lot about your mind and your anxiety and everything like that. Your prescriptions for wholeness through medicine, affirmations, and intuition. And I remember reading it and really enjoying it. I would love to reread it. I'm not just in the mood for nonfiction. My time for nonfiction is usually in the springtime. That's when I feel motivated for stuff like that. But it is quite large. It has a lot of like scientific facts, so it can be pretty heavy to read and get through. But I remember really enjoying it, and I can't wait to actually read this entire thing. And in the back it also has a long list of a lot of disease and diagnosis and medication and how you can treat that disease. And it's just really interesting. Really interested if you are interested in stuff like that. But yeah, and also I love the cover. Definitely a cover by a little bit of it, just the pink, the everything. It's really gorgeous. The next book I have is The Power is Within You, also by Louise Hay. And I don't know if I've read this actually. You can tell that I'm a little bit off the game. I haven't been reading nonfiction in a while, but this is basically talking about Louisa Hay writes to your soul, where all healing begins. Louise Hay talks a lot about in her books about like healing and how to overcome things and your mindset, stuff like that. I really like her as an author. I have quite a few books of her, and kind of talks about the powers within you, how to overcome things with your power. And yeah, just I've been having this for a long time as well. So the next nonfiction book I have is Mindset: How You Can Fulfill Your Potential, Business, Parenting, School, and Relationship by Dr. Carol Sue Dweck. This is a book that I haven't read. I would love to though. It's pretty short. On the back it says, discover the mindset for achieving success. That's interesting, cool. Pretty small text, a lot of facts, scientific facts, I would believe. So probably gonna be a little bit tough to get through, but yeah, talks about a lot of your mindset, I guess, and how to fulfill your potential. That's very interesting. I actually can't wait to read this. I'm actually very intrigued. The next book I have is actually a Swedish book by Maggan Hägglund, and basically what it says is, it will pass, a survival guide and comfort book for you who are depressed, feeling down, or have lost touch with your joy in life, basically it says. And I believe I've read parts of this, not the entire thing. It's really small, a cute book. I think I bought this kind of on a whim when I was feeling a little bit down, and I kind of just wanted some comfort and to read about that I'm not alone, I think. And it basically says different conditions, what you can do, how are you feeling, and like describe it, what can you do about it. And it have a lot of inspirational quotes and her experience you get to follow, and it's a really cute little book that can make you feel comfort and that you're not alone and that it will pass. The next book that I own is also a Swedish book by Anders Hansen, and it's basically all about how the screen, your phone screen, your computer screen in today's society has made us really depressed and anxious, and how we can prevent that. So this is basically, and I've read this, I've tabbed it as well. And yeah, it basically just really talks about why we are depressed and how we can, like, this book kind of blames, you know, your screen time, which I think is really interesting, because I definitely can see, and I think you can really see how a lot of screen time can make us really anxious and depressed and feel like we're not good enough. You compare yourself to on social media and stuff, and I think it was really interesting. It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember reading it. And he's a psychiatrist, I believe, and he just talks about how the screen affects us in a bad way and how we can prevent it. Really interesting. The next nonfiction book I own is Lost Connections by Joan Hari. I recently finished it after having to read it. Like, I started this probably like last year, and I finally finished it like a month ago. But it's really interesting. It's uncovering the real causes of depression and the unexpected solutions. I really enjoyed it. I tabbed it, I annotated it. He talks about, and he meets a lot of people and interviews a lot of people in different cultures, in different countries, in different like lifestyles, and how they see depression, how they treat depression, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and his experience with depression as well, and how he overcome it, how he tackles it, how he learned to live with it basically. And it was really, really interesting. Took a while to read, as I've said, but it's because it's really dense. Like the text is really small. It has a lot of scientific facts, which is kind of takes a while to process, but overall I really like this book. It was really, really good. Definitely recommend it if you're interested in the subject. The next nonfiction book I own is this one. It's also a Swedish one by Gisela van der Stad, and I don't know how to translate this title to English, but it is basically a book for someone who is struggling with an eating disorder, or someone who is really interested in the subject and wants to learn more. It is really, really hefty, so I would definitely, it's really hard, but I don't think it's for everyone that has an eating disorder. I think maybe you have to be on the path to recovery to read this, because it talks in depth about a lot of stuff, and just be sure that you're ready for it. But the different chapters, it has first like on the different types of eating disorders. It has, it's so hard to translate, but about control, about lust, about are you ready to become healthy, like what's stopping you, what's keeping you from it. And it's a lot about the different supplements, like about fats, about carbs, about protein, why we need them, what vitamins, what they do to the body like physically, and why we need them to survive. A lot of that, which is really interesting. About portions, about how you feel full, how regularly eating makes you like feel, how regularly should you eat to feel that way. And it's just really, really interesting, and definitely talks in depth about a lot of these stuff. The next nonfiction book I own is this little cute one, and that is basically like psychiatry in pocket format. So it's really, really small. You can have it with you. And what this basically is all the, maybe not all, but a lot of the psychiatry like diagnosis is in here. So you have like the diagnosis system, and it's just, let's say you have a diagnose, and then you have how to treat it, complications, how do you prevent it, medication, other things you can do, rules, and what criteria you have to get the diagnosis. So it's really, really informative and great to have with you if you work in healthcare with with psychiatry, because it's just really good. And it talks about a lot of the psychiatrists, talks a lot about the diagnosis like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, phobias, anorexia, addiction, sleeping problems, autism, ADHD, and even dementia, like a lot of stuff. Also has about the laws and the rules for these kinds of diagnoses, which is kind of boring but also really important to know. So just if you're a nerd about this stuff, then I would recommend it. The next nonfiction book I own is this one. It's also a Swedish one from Therese Alven, and it's basically very important to feel good after an eating disorder. So a lot of books have like when you're in the eating disorder, but this basically, or she talks about how to move on and how to feel good after your eating disorder, or like on the way to recovery, because an eating disorder is so complex. It's just, when are you actually healthy? Like you're not fully recovered when you have reached your goal weight, because the disease is not in your weight, it's in your mind. So I think this was a really good idea and concept, which is why I bought it. And because it's so important with aftercare, I don't know how you say it, but after you have stopped meeting with a therapist, after you have gained to your goal weight, it's not done there. The work is not done. You have a long way to go in order to be fully recovered in your mind, if you are even able to fully recover, because I don't even know. It's just really, really complex of a disease in my opinion. And just because you reach your goal weight, or just because your therapist has said that you don't need to meet me anymore, like it's not over. You have to learn a way to feel good after, you know. And she talks about how she is doing after, and it's just really good. I love the idea, I love the concept, just really important. The last nonfiction book I want to talk about is this one, and it's also a Swedish one, but the translation is we should be happy. And these two girls actually have a really famous podcast here in Sweden that talks about a lot of like anxiety and body image, like a lot of important stuff. And this they talk about in this book is basically how in this generation we have so many opportunities, like, right, we have more opportunities today than we had years back, than our parents had. And today we have so many options, so many choices to, like, so many paths to choose. We should be happy, right? But why are we not happy? Why do teens and kids today have so much anxiety? But in reality, like, we are living a really good life in comparison to ages back when people were struggling. So why are we not happy? And I read it all. It's very interesting. These two girls also actually went to the same high school that I went to, and you can really like see and relate to a lot of, they talk about a lot of their time back here in the city where I live now. They have moved now, but they used to live here. And it's just really interesting because you kind of have a connection through that. So it was really good. I really liked it. But yeah, that was all of the nonfiction books I own. Not a big collection, but I've actually had a few on my wish list for Christmas and my birthday coming up. So we'll see if I get any then. I will definitely buy. I have a lot on my wish list that I would definitely buy that I'm interested in and that I've heard great things about. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in one of my next videos. Bye.